I want the instructions to be very clear on episode 1 in case anyone's new to solitaire. So I'm gonna explain the rules a little bit better in this one so that it's crystal clear how solitaire works for anybody who's new. And I won't be so specific on the rules on later games, but for episode 1 it's really important that we explain the mechanics of solitaire. So here on filter, if you go to very high percent chance of winning, there's thumb and pouch. At the bottom, that is probably the best solitaire game to start with because it's very similar to Klondike, which is the most famous solitaire game. It's in every computer that had Windows XP on it, and that's the staple. So this is like an easier version of that. Klondike in and of itself isn't that hard, but it's also not that easy. It's winnable, but you lose a lot. You also win a lot. I don't know, maybe 50-50. This one, you're going to win probably every time if you know what you're doing. So here are the rules. It's very similar to Klondike. So I'm just going to explain the rules of this game, and then when we get to Klondike, I'll tell you the differences. But let's do one at a time. So aces are going to go here. When I'm playing with a physical deck, I put I put the spades here, the diamonds here, the clubs here, and the hearts here, like bicycle order. In the video game, they'll go wherever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in real life either, but I have OCD, so I like to put them in that order. So you're going to put the aces here, and then once you have the aces there, then you're going to put the 2s, then the 3s, and the 4s. And you could only put spades on top of spades up here. And diamonds on top of diamonds. You can't mix and match up here. Down here, you can mix and match. In this game, thumb and pouch, you could do any suit on top of itself except its own. So you can't put a spade on a spade, almost like the opposite of up here. But down here, it's actually going to go downwards. So it's going to be like king, then queen, then jack. So that jack can go on this queen. And over here, it's the opposite. You would put the jack, then the queen on top of the jack. And you win by putting all the 4 suits. You put the aces all the way up to king. And once you do that on all 4 of those, you win. You could also read the rules here. We'll do that at the end. So this is called a space, when you have an open hole right there. In this game, you could put anything there. And you have the undo button. It's perfectly legal to use. It's not cheating. Undo is part of the game. There's some games where you have to be able to undo stuff in order to win, because some of these games are so freaking hard, like one called 4-Suit Spider, where literally you almost have to cheat in order to have any chance of winning that game. But alright, so this is called the board. I like to call it the field. Well, my friend called it the board. I met him at rehab, and he said always play the board first, and as opposed to playing from the stock. And the reason you play the board first is because if you play these cards and they pile up down here, you might lock yourself out. So it's good to get rid of as many of these cards as possible before playing anything from here. Otherwise, this will get cluttered and you might bury yourself. So before we even flip this card, let's see what we have. I like to play, I call it bingo. I look at the 6 and then I think of the next card down, which would be a 5. So I say, do we have a 5? No. Then we look at the 3 and then we say, do we have a 2? We do have a 2, but it's the same suit, so it can't go there. So now, do we have a 10? Yes, we do have a 10. Now, the next step is not, do we have a 7? You stay on the 10. Do we have a 9? And then if there was, do we have an 8? You stay here until you finish that file, then you move over. Do we have a 7? No. This card right here normally flips automatically. I had to set that. let's see, auto flip face down cards. So it was a 9. So now, so this is exactly what I was talking about. Do we have a 9? Yes, we do. Do we have an 8? Do we have a 7? Yes. Do we have a 6? Yes. Do we have, and the reason I play bingo like that is just to give your mind a break. You're only thinking in small chunks as opposed to looking at the entire field at the same time. I like to call it the field because of Yu-Gi-Oh terminology, but instead of looking at all these cards, which could hurt your brain, especially in other games that are harder, thinking one step at a time, baby steps, you'll be able to do a lot of moves without thinking too much. That's why I like to do that. I kind of came up with it on my own. I don't know if anybody else does that. And then I go from left to right, doing until I run out of moves. This is one of the easiest games on this app, so we should have no problem winning. I like to have a hole here. I don't like to use that up because it's like a lifeline for an emergency. In this game, it doesn't really matter because it's so easy, but in harder games, you definitely don't want to use that unless you have to, because it could unlock a bunch of moves in an emergency. And if you put something there, you might lock yourself out of being able to do that move. Yeah, so we don't have a 5, so now we move on to here. Do we have an 8? Yes. Do we have a 7? No. Do we have a 10? We do, but it's all the same suit and it's already taken by another jack. Do we have an ace? No. So now finally we play the board. We do have other moves, like we could put stuff here. Like we could put the queen there and see what's under there. But since I don't like to use the hole unless it's an emergency, for all intents and purposes, actually we could do this. So now I like to put the queen there because it's such a long chain that I like to just get it out of the way. And now we are out of moves. Four. The only way to use that would be to use up that hole. Let's go ahead and use it because this game is not that hard, so it's not gonna screw me that much. Now we're gonna put that there. And we are out of moves again. There's our first ace. Let's do the OCD thing where 2 is diamond and 4 is heart. Like the second one here. That's going to be the heart. That's going to be the club. That's going to be the spade. That's just my favorite order because that's how bicycles come. Okay. I'm thinking. So do we have a 2 of diamonds? We don't. Looks like we're out of moves. So let's keep going. See, if we had that hole there, we could put that, then move the jack over. So I did kind of shoot myself in the foot. But one thing about this game is you could go through these cards as many times as you want. In some games, you're only allowed to go through the deck a certain number of times before losing. So even though we're going to miss out on that queen for now, it's going to come back again the next cycle through. So I'm not too worried. So now we can move that there. I don't always put cards up here. That's another strategy, part of my strategy that I like to talk about. I like to make these chains all the way down, even if I could put them up here. Before putting stuff up there, just less thinking involved. You just worry about building your chains all the way down, and once you have 4 very long chains, king to ace, or as close as king to 2, however far you can go, you pretty much win the game, because then you could just shoot them all up to the top. We could put that on the jack. We could put the, oh, we can't put the 9 there. Here's a fun thing you can do in this game is, since the 9 can't go there because it's the same suit, we could actually put this 9 there, then put this 9 there, and we were able to use the 9. So that's kind of how the strategizing works in this game. Thumb and pouch. We could put the 2 there. We could put the 7 there. There we have a hole again. You can't flip the deck backwards, so that queen, I'm gonna have to wait for it. Well, let's just get the queen. Normally this is kind of a, I don't know, this is a dumb thing to do. You would never really do this, but just so you can see when you run out of these cards, you have a green circle, which means you can flip the deck over, and then now you could get to the queen. That's perfectly legal to do, but I don't like doing that. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm wasting moves. I'm not being very strategic. And it's unnecessary. Normally you play out all the moves you can until that queen comes back. It's more efficient. That's the word I was looking for. It's very inefficient to get to the queen the way I just did, but it was a good opportunity for me to show you guys what happens when you run out of cards in the what's called the stock. So let's put that there. And which jack should we put? One cool thing about this whack-a-mole, I call it the whack-a-mole technique, because the hole jumps from here to somewhere else almost immediately. When you have a stack like this and there's only one card behind it, there's 2 cards behind this one, 2 cards behind that one, but only 1 card behind that one. That's when I like to risk jamming the hole, because you have a very high chance of creating another one. That 7, see, if it could have gone on an 8, you would have had a hole again. Uh-oh. It saves your progress, thankfully. If there was an 8, you would have been able to have a hole immediately after. But we didn't have an 8. But it was worth the risk. And as soon as an 8 does come about, you will have a hole. Or a space. I like to call it a hole for some reason, but officially it's called a space. Okay, let's see. Let's play the board first. Do we have a 9? No. Do we have a 6? No. Do we have a 6? No. Do we have an ace? Ace, you almost never have an ace because you were gonna put it up here. Do we have a 5? We do have a 5. Do we have ace? We do, but let's just put it there just because I'm bored. But I normally put them up here. I guess let's just keep flipping. Goes there. Oh, another thing I like to do is have the chain as long as possible. So even though any move on the board right now is pretty much not going to change anything, I still like to do it. See, now I have a whole king to ace stack there. It makes your progress easier to see when you make these very long chains. So if we move some of this stuff over to here, that'll help us view our progress easier. We gain 1 card in that stack because it maxed out on jack here, but here it maxes out at queen. And then we could even do, oh, well, that 6 is taken already. but we could do that. There's only one card behind this one, so let's try the whack-a-mole technique. Oh, we got blocked out. If we had a 5, oh, we could do that. See, now I don't know, I don't know if my strategy helped us get another space, but we lucked out and did get another space. And there's only one card underneath this. Let's hope the whack-a-mole technique works this time. Nope. Man. I keep not being able to show you guys. Okay, they're at the 16-minute mark. This is too long for a thumb and pouch game. Let's just start shooting cards to the top. This is getting ridiculous. I'm trying to think of a way, yeah. So there's no more face down cards, and normally that's a good sign that you're pretty much gonna win because you're not gonna get locked out. There's many games where you get locked out with a lot with face down cards that you never got to get to, and if you just could have gotten to those, it might have changed the outcome of the game. It happens in Scorpion a lot, in the game Scorpion. So yeah, now from here, it's pretty much you're gonna win. Oh, they're both diamond. Well, let's do that. Now we got two very long chains here. And that's my strategy. You just make these 4 very long king chains and then you win. We need a 7. Whenever there's a suit like this, I do the little transition move here. I don't know where I was going with that. So we could put the 2 there, but I don't worry about that yet. I feel like it's faster to build your king chains. I guess I just invented a new term for it, a king chain. A chain from the king down. See, I could have used that 3, but let's not worry about that. Let's just make our king a chain. Not worried. Not worried. Let's just make the king a chains. And there you go. There's your 4 king chains. Now you just build them down. I just put them here. Ooh, autocomplete. That means you won, but I like to manually do it. In a game with a physical deck, you wouldn't necessarily know you won yet. The way you 100% know if you win is if you have the king chains built all the way down like this to where this matches with that. This matches with that. In other words, these king chains now can be folded up top over here. I like to go threes. So it's 3, 3, 3, 3. Now 4, 4, 4, 4, etc. That's why that means you win. And you could just tap the autocomplete. This was a long video, 21 minutes, because I was explaining the rules, making sure you guys really understood it. Other games shouldn't be this long. But yeah, there you go. That's Thumb and Pouch. We might do Klondike next, because that is the staple of all solitaire. And that's just like a slightly harder version of this.